Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Khan Global Studies. I hope I am properly audible and visible to all of you. Good evening, everyone. So I hope I am properly audible and visible to all of you. Yes, I am quite good, and I hope all of you are doing well. Okay. So in today's session, the topics which we are going to discuss, like last day you have asked me 3 questions. So one is doctrine of pith and substance. This is one of the topic which we are going to discuss. Second thing is we are going to discuss about this Kali and Nostro versus Vostro. So these are on the basis of your questions. The questions which you have asked me last day, on the basis of these, we are going to discuss about these topics. Plus 3 topics which we are going to take from today. One is the FATF report. FATF has given a report about the ways and means of the terrorist activities, like what new things they are coming with, how they are carrying out the terrorist attacks. So this is one topic which we are going to discuss. Then we are going to talk about this one survey which is related to learning outcome. It is part of education, GS paper 2. So it is learning outcomes. So we will see the survey results here. Then we will talk about this strategic issue of China, Bangladesh and Pakistan. Recently there was this one seminar in which the Chief of Defence Staff, he was speaking about this, that in case of India, we have a new problem, that if there is a convergence of the interest of Bangladesh, Pakistan and China, then till now we were having this two-front war. Now we are having another challenge if Bangladesh's interest, if the interest of Bangladesh is also converging with that of Pakistan and China. Okay. So these are the topics which we are going to discuss in today's session. Okay. So let us start first with this doctrine of pith and substance. Okay. So this is the first part, doctrine of pith and substance. So this is one of the doctrine. Why and when it is used? Like, let me give you an example of this. You may have seen that, like, let's say, Bihar government. Okay. Bihar government has made a law with respect to liquor. Bihar government has made a law with respect to liquor, that there will not be any such use of liquor, the sale of liquor or any such thing in case of state of Bihar. Okay. Now, if you look at this one topic, liquor, it comes under the state law, or this is something which is state subject. Alcohol is something which is a state subject. The state is empowered to make laws. The state is empowered to make laws. Okay. Now let us say that on this part, if the government of Bihar, if they have made a law on the case of liquor, that any such sale, purchase, consumption or anything of liquor will not be allowed in the state of Bihar. So then it is also going to impact the import of liquor. It is also going to impact the import of liquor from any other state or from any other country. Now this one part, import is coming under, the import is coming under the union government. Import is part of union government. So while a state government has made a law, it has an impact on the union government also. So now in this case, if the judiciary is going to examine this issue, examine this law, so they will use the doctrine of pith and substance. Doctrine of pith and substance. That, like, what is the intent? What is the true intent of the law? Okay. So here it will try to see this one part, like what is the inherent purpose of the law? what is the inherent purpose of the law. Rather than just the impact, it will try to see that what is the inherent purpose of the law. If the purpose of the law is just to like stop this leaker cell, so then it will be considered as, okay, this fine, this law is going to be allowed. There is no contradiction with the union law. But if there is any other example, let us say that the Bihar government has also made a law with respect to forest, okay, or with respect to any such other thing, forest or land or anything. Let's say that Bihar government is saying that no such land is going to be diverted for creation of any railway network. So in that case, it is going to violate the union's law or union's ambit. If the law has been made specifically for stopping any such railway projects, then that will be quashed. Okay. So here, in case of doctrine of pith and substance, in order to decide whether the law is correct or not, whether the law is encroaching upon others like ambit or not, the inherent purpose of law is being examined. We are trying to examine that what is the inherent purpose of the law, why the law has been made. It may have some impact, but if it is not the purpose of the law, then it is going to be allowed. Like here, the purpose was not to stop the import or not to impact the import. It was just to control this liquor consumption in the state. So in that case, this law will be allowed. But if government is making a law which is specifically saying that there will be no construction in the forest and it is impacting the railway lines, or it is saying that no railway construction, no highways in the forest area. So if it is directly impacting the union government's power or any other jurisdiction, so then that law can be quashed, that it is violating that pith and substance. Okay. So this is one thing, like why this doctrine of what is this doctrine of pith and substance, and in which case it is used. Okay, this is used if there is an issue of violation of jurisdiction. Violation of jurisdiction. So here we will try to examine, okay, here we will try to examine that what is the inherent purpose of the law rather than just the literal text. Okay. Here we try to examine that what is the purpose of the law rather than just the literal text of the law. Okay. So that is the first part, that what is this doctrine of pith and substance. Okay. Okay. So this is the first topic which you have asked as a question. So that is doctrine of pith and substance. There was another topic with respect to this Kali. So last day when we were talking about this one thing, golden dome, we were talking about this one topic, golden dome. So there I was telling you that there is one thing called as directed energy weapon. Directed energy weapon. So in the similar manner, we have a directed energy weapon. We also have, in case of India also, we have a directed energy weapon which has been developed by DRDO plus Bhabha Atomic Research Center. They have come together to form a new thing called as Kali. Kilo ampere linear injector. Kilo ampere linear injector. So this is something which has been developed by two organizations, DRDO plus Bhabha Atomic Research Center. Okay. So it is going to radiate, it is going to emit powerful pulses of like this electron beams. Okay. This will release pulses of electron beams. It is going to emit the pulses of electron beams, and these things are going to these pulses of electron beams, they are going to destroy any incoming satellites, any incoming missiles or aircraft or UAVs, etc. So they can easily destroy that. So that is our Kali, that is kiloampere linear injector. Kiloampere linear injector. Okay. So in the same manner, what we see that, like we have this Durga 2 plan of India also. We have also this Durga 2 plan of India. So under that also many such directed energy weapons are being developed. Why this is crucial? What is the main ambit? Okay, the crucialness of this. Why this is crucial? This is crucial. Okay, this is crucial because we see that it can be used to destroy any such incoming threat. It can be used to target. It can be used to target any such incoming threat. It can be used to target any such incoming threat. That is the main ambit here. Okay. It can be used as part of the aerial defense system. It can be used as part of aerial defense system. It can be used as part of the aerial defense system. So you can understand this one part, that this is going to be very much enormously fast weapon system. Now suppose that, like just look at this. This is going to be a laser weapon. And you can imagine, like even if you are having very hypersonic missiles, their speed is like 4 times, 5 times that speed of sound. But if we are having laser weapons, you cannot even compare. Laser weapons have a speed, like it is an electromagnetic radiation type of a speed. So it is going to hit any target with an enormously fast rate. So that is why these directed energy weapons are considered to be very much efficient, especially in like providing air defense. So that is our air defense system. Okay. Okay. So this is first part, that what is the Kali system which has been launched by India. So these two things are clear. First, doctrine of pith and substance. See, in case of doctrine of pith and substance, we have simply seen that suppose if there is a challenge with respect to jurisdiction, that whether the state government is encroaching upon the jurisdiction of the union government or not. So in that case, this doctrine of pith and substance is going to be used to check whether what is the inherent purpose of the law. In the literal text, it may be encroaching upon the topics, but is that the real intent behind the law, or is it just an impact of it? Okay. So this is one thing. Okay. Now, so this is the second topic, which is about the Kali. The third topic which we are going to see is the Nostro account versus the Vostro account. Okay, Nostro versus Vostro. Last day I told you this one thing, that RBI has started promoting Vostro account. We are not going for de-dollarization, but we are definitely going for internationalization of Indian rupee. We are not going for de-dollarization, but we are going for this internationalization of the rupee. And in that case, what we can see here, like there is one thing, Vostro account. Okay. Now, in this Vostro account, what happens that, like suppose we have a country, Iran. Okay. So we are purchasing oil of rupees 100 crore, or let us say 85 crore. 85 crore from, we are purchasing this from Iran. Okay. Now, there is one system called as SWIFT. We have discussed about this last day. For the financial transaction, there is an international system called as SWIFT. So in the SWIFT, we see that mainly the transaction is being done in dollar. Dollar is one of the main methods of transaction using the SWIFT. But Iran and Russia has been banned by US in SWIFT system. So we cannot transfer them money via the SWIFT system. We cannot transfer them money via the SWIFT system. So what we will say to Iran that, okay, fine. In Delhi, we have a bank. Okay. We have a bank of SBI. Okay. So when we are paying money to you, you are also going to take it into any bank. Okay. Let us say in Iran, there is Bank of Iran, BOI. Okay. Let us say BOI is Bank of Iran, not the Bank of India. Okay. So there is a Bank of Iran. Okay. So now that Bank of Iran is going to have an account. Okay. This Bank of Iran is going to have an account in SBI. Okay. This Bank of Iran is going to have an account in SBI. And this 85 crore rupees, this is something which we had to provide to Iran. So instead of paying them in dollar, what we did, we transferred it to the account of Iran in our SBI. So your money in our bank account. Your money is in our bank account. So this type of account is what we call as the Vostro account. This is what we call as the Vostro account. Means your money on deposit at our bank. Okay. So foreigners' money is deposited here. It means we are not paying you in dollar. We are simply paying you in rupee. Now you might have a question that why will Iran keep their money in India? So there is a reason. Like suppose that Iran is also purchasing, let us say, vegetables from India. Iran is also purchasing this vegetables from India. And let us say in 1 year, they are purchasing vegetables, fruits and all other things worth rupees, like let's say 30 crore. So what they can do, instead of paying back in their money, they can simply tell us, okay, go from this account and take the money. Okay. You can take this money from here. You can take this money of 30 crore from here. So their money is in our bank account. We can take it from there. Plus, if there is anything extra, we will deposit there. So their money in our bank, Vostro account. Our money in their bank, Nostro account. Okay. So if our money is there in any foreign bank in their local currency, so that is going to be Nostro account. Here it is going to be in domestic currency. In our country, in the Vostro account, it is going to be in our currency. So in short, if you have to memorize it, you can simply remember one thing. Vostro. Vostro simply means V. V is Videshi. Videshi means foreign. So it is basically foreigners account. This is basically foreigners account. And Nostro. Nostro means N, national. Okay. So this is our national or our nationalist, our people's, our native account in other bank. So Videshi's people account in our country, that is Vostro. Our money in their bank, in their currency is Nostro account. So I hope that is clear. I hope that is clear, that what is Vostro account and what is Nostro account. Okay. So these are the three first topics, that what is Kali, what is Nostro versus Vostro, and plus what is the doctrine of pith and substance. Okay. So this is our Nostro versus Vostro. Okay. So your money on deposit at our bank, that is Vostro. Our money on deposit at your bank, it is going to be the Nostro account. Okay. This is in Indian context. We are talking from the Indian perspective, that if their money is in our account, we will call it as Vostro. For them, this Vostro is Nostro. Okay. It is Vostro for us, it is Nostro for them. This is Vostro for them, it is Nostro for us. Okay. So there is, according to the perspective, as per their perspective. From our perspective, it is Vostro account. From their perspective, it is Nostro account. Okay. So there is a difference. Okay. Now, we are coming to the next topic, that is the main topic of today, FATF, Financial Action Task Force. In the month of June also, we have talked about this organization. I think on 17th or 18th of June, around 20 days back, we have discussed about this Financial Action Task Force. Okay. Now, today there is a report, okay, that the terrorists, those terrorists who have been attacking in India, they have been using certain means. They have been using certain digital means for planning their attack in India. And just to show you a very important component here, you know that they will be using, there is one thing, there is virtual private network. Okay. There is this one thing called as virtual private network. There is one thing called as VPN, virtual private network. Like right now, I think if you are using mobile phone, or even if you are using Wi-Fi, so your ID is always visible to the the carrier which is providing you these services. For example, if you are watching YouTube right now, if you are using KGS IAS English YouTube channel at the moment, so the carrier, the service provider, if you are using Airtel, Jio, BSNL or any company, so they are getting this information that you are using YouTube at this moment. The traffic is going on towards YouTube. If the government wants, they can also know about this, that where your traffic is going or what websites you are accessing. So your network, it is not that they are closely watching what messages you are sending, but they can always get to know. They can always get to know that what websites you are accessing. Even if you are using incognito mode. Incognito mode is one such thing which is available in browsers. So there you will find that you may not have that in the history of your browser, but the carrier provider, the one who is providing you the internet, they will get to know that what websites you are accessing. They will have information about it. Okay. So this is how it works. Whatever sites you are going through or whatever links you are going through, there is a network which gets connected, and hence your name or your ID will be visible there. Okay. Suppose when you are connecting to any website, if you are connecting to any website, it becomes clear that okay, who is accessing this. But there is another option. There is one thing called as virtual private network. So this is something which masks your ID. It is something which masks your ID. So what have been seen that the terrorist groups, the terrorists who are there, they have been making use of these virtual private networks. They have been making use of this virtual private network. How long they keep our info? No, it's like almost every time available. Okay. For some period of time, they will store it and then they will remove it. It is like, suppose you are calling any number. Just to give an example, if you are calling any number, so mobile company will always have this idea that whom you have contacted. So visiting any website is just like that. Like suppose if you are dialing to your friend, if you are making a call to your friend, so your call list is always going to be visible to the telecom company. In same manner, if you are using the internet also, what you are doing, you are simply dialing a connection. That is simply dialing a connection, or you are simply trying to make a connection So whatever websites you are visiting, no matter how you are visiting, that is always going to be visible. So this is one basic thing in case of internet users also. If you are using khanglobalstudies.com, so they will get to know that, okay, this particular mobile number or this particular web user has connected to Khan Global Studies. You have gone to YouTube. So that is one thing which will always be known to the carrier. In the case of virtual private network, your ID is getting masked. Your ID is getting masked. There will not be any such information that what websites you are going to use. Okay. So that is one thing called as virtual private network. Achha, how to use VPN? VPN is being provided. VPN is like you can purchase it or you can develop it. Okay. So both things are there. You can either purchase it or you can develop it. Okay. Or you can set it up. Okay. So virtual private network is being used by terrorists for making calls or doing any such search or any such planning. So they are using this virtual private network. So that is one thing which we know, that they use the dark web, they use the virtual private network. That is something common. But let me show you one very important thing. In Pulwama attack, in case of Pulwama attack, what we have seen that there was use of aluminum oxide powder to increase the impact of attack. And in order to do that, they have purchased aluminum powder from Amazon. Okay. It was seen that the aluminum powder was being provided from Amazon's e-commerce platform. So they are using e-commerce websites also. Okay. They are also using virtual private networks also. These are the common things which are being used by them. In case there has also been a scene where there was use of PayPal. It is a payment system for transferring the payments. Okay. So these have been highlighted as per FATF report. All these things are from the newspaper itself, from the FATF report itself, that there has been use of Amazon's e-commerce platform for ordering aluminum powder. Then there have been use of the PayPal network for making a payment to various terrorists. Okay. There have been use of various virtual private networks for doing all sort of internet activities. So this is one thing which has been discovered, which has been highlighted in the case of FATF report. This is something which has been highlighted there. Okay. Now, from here, we get to know about certain things. First of all, okay, we need to regulate virtual private network. Now, this is one of the most controversial part. This is the most controversial part. A few years back, there was an attempt by the government to regulate the virtual private networks in India. There was an attempt by the union government to regulate the virtual private networks in India, but it was not executed. Okay. It was being told to the virtual private networks that you have to provide the details of your user. Okay. So what we have said that government of India, they had demanded user information. They have demanded user info. Okay. Plus also user activity monitoring. Now at that point of time, there was so many discussion about this, that the government is trying to enter the houses of the people, because everyone has a right to privacy. Everyone has a right to privacy. And this is a very thin line. This is a very thin line. Okay. It's true that on one hand, terrorists are using this virtual private network. But on the other hand, there is also a potential abuse which might be there if government is given control over the virtual private network. Government can use it, and it is not about one government, it is about any government. It is not about any specific government, it is just about the regulation. That if there is a regulation over the virtual private networks, there is a chance that it can be misused. In future, there is a possibility that governments across the country or in any part of the world may misuse it for suppressing any voice of dissent. If someone is trying to expose any such government scam, if someone is trying to expose any government official, politician, so then they might be suppressed if the government is having a total control over virtual private network. So on one hand, this is necessity. On one hand, this is a necessity that terrorists are using the virtual private networks. In case of smuggling, in case of terrorist financing, there is use of virtual private networks. But on the other hand, what we see that this is also infringing upon the right of privacy of the citizen. Okay. So we have two things which we have to consider here. One, issue of terrorism versus right to privacy and freedom of expression. So this is one part. This issue of terrorism versus this freedom of expression. Then there is another angle of it, and that is about the e-commerce websites. E-commerce websites. Now, for a very long period of time, there has been a demand that we need to regulate the activities of e-commerce websites. E-commerce websites have enabled a hassle-free purchase of many things, but now we see that the consequences of them can be deadly also. The consequences of them have become deadly also. So there is a requirement of regulating. There is a requirement of regulating the activities of e-commerce websites. Now here also there is a need of precaution. Here also there is a need of precaution. Why there is a need of precaution? Government cannot check each and everything. Government cannot check that whether you are purchasing 1 kg of sugar and 2 kg of salt or not. Government should not check this part, that what is your consumption, what things you are purchasing, what is your preference. Okay. So this is one part. Government cannot go into these items. But yes, there can be some prohibited list. There can be certain prohibited items on which, if there is any order, the government authorities can be notified about it. Okay. So we need to have prohibited or regulated items list. Or regulated items list. So we need to have certain items which can be prohibited of selling from the e-commerce websites, or we can at least regulate them. That if someone is ordering 5 kg of aluminum powder, so there must be a reason behind it, that why they are ordering so. Okay. So this is one part, like we need to regulate this part. And here, in case of issue of terrorism versus right to privacy and freedom of expression. Now, in this case, what we see that here we can make some arrangements. Here we can make some arrangements where we can like have a judicial oversight or a judicial monitoring on the process of regulation. Okay. There can be, first thing, self-regulation. There is one thing, self-regulation. Self-regulation plus judicial monitoring. Judicial monitoring or oversight. Judicial monitoring or oversight. It can simply be there that virtual private networks have to store the data of people. If there is such a case where it becomes very much required, very much urgent, then on the orders of judiciary, the virtual private networks can arrange those data. It's not that they have to provide it immediately. They have to provide it immediately to the government. They can wait for the judicial order and then they must provide it so that security of the nation can be ensured. So this is another part. So this is another part with respect to the issue of virtual private network versus the issue of terrorism. Okay. Like, see, if we look at this, if we directly regulate the VPN just by the government, then there is again possibility that those voices of dissent, they can also be crushed. So we have to make a balance. We have to make a balance. So we can ask the VPNs to self-regulate, self-control, plus a judicial oversight and monitorings can also be arranged. So this is one way where we can find the midway where we can stop the issue of or stop the challenge due to terrorism also, and plus at the same time we can balance the right to privacy, balance the right to freedom of expression of the people. Okay. I hope that is clear. So I think you are already aware about this one issue, that what is FATF. We have discussed it in the last weekend also, sorry, in the last month also on 17th June. I hope that part is already clear. PPP, public-private partnership, government cannot be there everywhere. See, in the present times, what we are talking about? We are talking about minimum government, maximum governance. So in any liberal country, in any democratic country, the government should be just a helping hand. Okay. That is one thing which we can do. Now, coming to the next article, which is about this second part, China, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Okay. We have this another major issue, China, Pakistan and Bangladesh. So what we see that in the recent times, if we look at this, in the recent times, we are having so many challenges for India. On one hand, we have the issue of terrorism. On one hand, we have the issue of Pakistan, then China, then Bangladesh, then Myanmar, then US. So it is a very much critical situation for India right now. And then we have the climate change also, the disease burden also. So this is one of the most challenging times in which we are there. Okay. So now what we see that there is this one thing, China, Pak and Bangladesh. Okay. So what we see that there is a chance, although this has not happened yet, but there is a chance that there can be the convergence of interest of Pakistan, Bangladesh and China. So then it is going to form that deadly triangle or the lethal triangle for India. Okay. On one hand, we have Bangladesh, on one side we have Pakistan, and then we have China. So in 1971, we have got rid of this problem. We have got rid of this problem when Pakistan lost its control over the eastern Pakistan. But the way Bangladesh is evolving right now, the way Bangladesh is changing right now, we are again having the same threat as we used to have before the 1970s. After 1970s, at least this one threat was neutralized to a great extent. We were only having the problems of some refugees, some migrants or some smuggling. But now it can also become a security issue. Okay. So on one hand, we see that this is one of the major this is one of the major implications for India's safety. Okay. That if there is convergence of interest, now in Bangladesh, we see that elections are going to take place. So it totally depends on that. that what is being decided by the people of Bangladesh. And on the basis of that, many things are going to change in the future. Okay. So this is the first part. The second part, Myanmar issue. We see that in the case of Myanmar, we have this military rule. We have this military rule. But the challenge with Myanmar is that it is not even entirely a military rule. Military rule has rather become a rule of multiple rebel groups. It is in fact a rule of multiple rebel groups. So in case of Myanmar, there is not even a military rule. There are so many rebel groups in Myanmar which are controlling the different part of territories. So on one hand, we have the issue of migration. Okay. We have the issue of smuggling. We have the issue of like this support to insurgent groups. So this is one part. That in the case of Myanmar also, what we see that the change in the rule, even if it was a military rule, then also we could have managed. We can deal with military rule. But the challenge is there is not even a military rule in case of Myanmar. In case of Myanmar, it is no rule. There is only rebels. So who are you going to talk to? So that is one of the major problem with respect to Myanmar right now. Okay. So this is one of the another challenge. Then the third challenge is the Indian Ocean region. In the Indian Ocean region, many countries, what we see that many of the nations, they have simply become a part of this debt trap diplomacy. They have simply become a part of this debt trap diplomacy of China. Okay. They have simply become a part of this debt trap diplomacy of China. So China is having undue influence in the Indian Ocean region. Okay. So right now we see that this has led to undue influence of China in the Indian Ocean region, whether it is Sri Lanka, whether it is Maldives, whether it is other countries. Okay. So we have some examples, like we have the examples of Sri Lanka, we have the example of Maldives. Okay. So we have two recent examples that how in the Indian Ocean region, China has got its undue influence in that like debt trap diplomacy. Okay. So yes, Myanmar is also part of the opium triangle. So on one side we have the like golden triangle, on other side we have the golden crescent. On the eastern side we have the golden triangle where we have Myanmar, Thailand, Laos and all, and on the western side we have the golden crescent. So India is in the middle of these opium dens of the world. Yeah. These are the opium den of the world, and in the middle of that we have India. Okay. So that is another challenge for India. Then another part is the South Asia. Okay. What we see that the South Asia, this has got one of the most fragmented region of the entire world. In last week also we have discussed about this, that it is the most fragmented part of the world. Now what we see that in this case there has been frequent regime change. This area has witnessed frequent regime change. This area has witnessed frequent regime change, and that too not in a democratic manner, but because of different ideology. They're having different ideological views. They're having different ideological views. So this has also emerged as one of the challenge for us. This has also become one of the major challenge for us, that this area, the South Asia, if we look at this, it has seen frequent changes in the regimes, and that is not in a democratic manner. That is not in a democratic manner. What we see that it is in there is a coup. From time to time there is military coup. In Pakistan also, in Sri Lanka also, in in Maldives also, Myanmar also, Bangladesh also. Nepal is stable from the last 10-15 years, but again, it is not a stability there also. We see frequent regime change there also. In all of them, you will find only one country apart from India which is stable, and that is Bhutan. There is only one country in the entire region, from Afghanistan to Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Nepal. In all these countries, there have been change in the regimes due to different ideological views. One is having some view, other is having some other views. So there is lack of any democratic structures, lack of democratic institutions, lack of a single policy. That is one of the most challenging part of South Asia. Bhutan is having just a king's rule, but still they are having a continuity. So that is one of the major challenges for South Asia. And this is the local problem. This is the local level of problem which we are facing. But at the same time, we have another major problem, and that is the state of flux in the global order. Okay. We have this state of flux in the global order. What we see that we have got a new president. We have got a new president in the form of Donald Trump. Okay. Then we already had a problem in form of Xi Jinping. Okay. So now we are having Donald Trump plus Xi Jinping combined together. Plus at the same time we have Russian President Vladimir Putin. Okay. In middle of that, India has to navigate its way. India has to find its way in the middle of all these global transitions which is going on. Okay. So this is the state of flux which is going on in the world. So the world order is also not stable. Okay. What we see that right now, there is global trade war. There is global trade war. Lack of consensus on any major issue, and what we see that there is basically a power race. There is basically a power race among the major countries. Okay. So race of power, race of influence. So this is one thing. The world is no longer just a unipolar world. The world is not a unipolar world. Now, some countries are trying to make it bipolar, whereas India has to find its way towards multipolar world or multilateral world. Okay. So there is a shift from unipolar. There is a shift from unipolar to bipolar. And what India wants a multipolar or multilateral. So India wants a multilateral world. The world is becoming bipolar. So that is a state of flux for the entire world. So that is the challenge which we are facing in the present times. If we look at the geopolitics for India, it is one of the most challenging times. Okay. It is one of the most challenging times, whether we look at our neighborhood, or we look at the Indian Ocean region, or we look at the global politics. Like in general sense, we talk about this in our life, in our general astrology, we talk about one thing, that there is something called as Rahu and Ketu. Okay. So in case of India, it is not only Rahu and Ketu. It is Rahu plus Ketu plus Mangal plus Shani. All these things are having an impact on Indian geopolitics right now. Like normally people say that you have the impact of Shani Grah. Okay. And you have the impact of Mangal or other things. You have the impact of Rahu and Ketu. So if we talk about the Indian geopolitics, we have the combined effect of Rahu, Ketu, Shani, Mangal and all other planets which are there. Okay. So this is one such challenge. Okay. This is one such challenge for India right now. Okay. Yes, it is time to reform in global governance. But the problem is, who will do it? We want the reform in global governance. But right now the time is like just opposite to that. Right now if we see the time, that is just opposite of that. So in this case, what options we have? We need to ensure a resilient supply chain. We have to ensure a resilient supply chain for our economy. We have to also ensure a robust and a self-reliant defense ecosystem. We need to have defense R&D which must innovate, which must come with something new. And at the same time, we need to have a trusted global partnership. So we need to work for our economy, we need to work for defense, we need to work for global partnership. Okay. So there is 3 priority areas. One is economy plus defense plus partnership. So we need to have all these 3 things. We need to focus on economy, we need to focus on defense, and we need to focus on a trusted global partnership. Yeah. Yes. So this is one, yes, correct, Shiv Shankar, ki बिल्ली के गले में घंटा कौन बांधेगा? Okay. That is the challenge, that who is going to like tie that bell. So that is first part, the geopolitical situation for India. Now, one more thing, learning outcome. Okay. So meanwhile we are having all these challenges, there is another challenge, that is education level in India. In today's morning class, we were talking about PM Poshan. We were talking about this Pradhan Mantri Poshan scheme. So this is one thing, what we see that if we talk about the learning outcomes, Pradhan Mantri Poshan scheme was there for increasing the enrollment in the schools, improving the attendance in the schools. So we have seen that attendance in a school has improved, enrollment in schools have also improved. But what about the learning outcomes? What about the learning outcomes? If we look into that, now, just to give you an idea, okay, we have this PARAKH Rashtriya Sarvekshan. PARAKH stands for Performance Assessment, Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. Performance Assessment, Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development, Rashtriya Sarvekshan. Sarvekshan means like survey. Okay. So what we see that, as per this, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Kerala, Dadra Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu and Chandigarh, they are the best performers in school education. So we have Punjab here, Himachal Pradesh, Kerala. So northern states, western states, southern states, they are the best performers in case of school education. What we see that, like there have been also reports about Kendriya Vidyalayas, so that is not so much important. Okay. Now, just to give you one idea that the future of the country, let us talk about them, how much they know maths, how much they know science and everything. Okay. So here we have grade 3 students. So 67% of the students, they know how to like, they know the words, they know and use enough words to carry out day-to-day interactions effectively. I would say it's not 67%, it is 97%. If you have met if you have met a class 3 student in the present times, you may have seen that they might be speaking more than you. In the present times, what we see that the majority of the students, they are highly extrovert. They have become highly extrovert. So this one thing is improving. Like it is saying 67%, 2/3 of the students know how to speak. They can use the words effectively. They can carry out their day-to-day interactions. What we see that 68% students in grade 3, they can also sort objects into groups and subgroups based on more than one property. Okay. And 69% can identify and extend simple patterns in their surrounding shape and numbers. Okay. You may have seen this one thing that now with the change in the society, people are focusing on providing various puzzles to their children. You may have seen that in childhood, they are being provided with various such toys which are of different shape. Like they are being provided with bananas, they are being provided with all those type of vegetables in like toy forms. They are getting all these vegetables also nowadays in form of toys. They are getting multiple things in form of toys. They are getting puzzles. So what we see that now they are able, like 70% of the students in grade 3, they are able to identify and classify the objects. So here there is improvement, that their cognitive skill is improving somehow. Okay. Now only 55% of them, they can arrange numbers up to 99 in ascending and descending order. Like you may have seen that in your childhood, you may have been given this task by your relatives, that first you have to count from 1 to 100 and then you have to count from 100 to 1. So this is the ascending and descending order. So now what we see that only 55% of the students are able to do this. I hope you were able to do that. Okay. Britain and France are just like looking at how the world is changing. Britain and France is gone. So I hope you still remember counting from 1 to 100 and 100 to 1. Okay. Nowadays there is a new challenge. Okay. It varies from state to state, and that is why there is a very important thing that students must be taught in their mother language also. Like to give you an example, I don't know how many of you have seen it or not, but if there is any such student, suppose if we are talking about the northern states, okay, if you ask them to count from 1 to 100, if you ask them to count from 1 to 100 in English, they would be able to do that. But if you ask them to do the same thing in Hindi, they will not be able to do that. They will go very fast in counting from 1 to 100 in English, but if you ask the same student to do that in Hindi, they say that they don't know it. And in the same manner, in other states also, if only English is being taught in the schools, they might not know about how to convert it in their own native language. So that is one of the emerging challenge. Okay. That is one of the emerging challenge, that they don't know how to speak the same numbers in their own native language. So that is also one challenge. I know many of people, not just small children. I know many grown-ups also. If you ask them, what do you call 66 in Hindi? Okay. If you ask them, what is 66 in Hindi? I think many of them might not be able to answer this part. Okay. So this is one thing, like if you have to speak the same thing in your native language, in your mother tongue. Okay. So this is one thing, like many of the students are not able to do that. So that is for the present student also and the upcoming ones also. Okay. Siyaset, yes. Good. So one people gave the answer. So here we have this one learning outcome. Then what we see that only 38% of grade 6 students, okay, they can tell about the season change, the food chain, phases of moon, movement of stars, planet, shapes of trees, etc. Okay. So what we see that only 38% of grade 6 students, those who are in class 6, they are not able to tell about the season change, that how many seasons and all other things are there, how the season and everything changes. In class 6 geography, you have to read that. In class 6 NCERT, you all are preparing for UPSC. So when you pick the geography of class 6, you find that it is written there how the seasons and all other things change. You are also informed about tidal forces, you are informed about moon and everything. But many of the grade 6 students are unaware about these things. There is a very popular movie, I forget the name of it. There is a very popular movie around this about the education level of children, although that is telling a story of very of past. Okay. But there is a very popular movie where student is there, maybe of 3rd or 4th class or any class. So he was there in the school and someone came for inspection. He was asked that tell something about this new moon, Amavasya, new moon. Okay. So then he gave the story from mythology. He gave the story from mythology that when Rahu and Ketu enters, then they eat the moon, and that's why the moon is not visible in the sky. So in our country, no, it is not the Tare Zameen Pe. This is a new movie. So in that, there is a scene, a particular scene where a student is there. He is being asked that why there is a new moon or Amavasya. So in that case, he told that Rahu and Ketu enters, they eat the moon or they somehow overshadow the moon, and due to which the moon is not visible. Okay. So that is one such Bhagwan Bharose. Yes, there is this movie Bhagwan Bharose. So if you have seen that, you can understand the Indian education system. Okay. So that is one of the challenge, that nowadays these things are becoming reality. These things are becoming that much like popular that even the news channels are broadcasting it. In a recent news clip, it was shown from a very reputed news channel that some of the people came to the news studio and they were lifting some coconut without touching it. Of course, it was clearly visible that they were tying it with a thread. They had tied it to a thread and they thought it will not be visible, but it was quite much visible on the camera. Think about this. News channels are there to prevent all these type of stereotypes, prevent all these types of stereotypes or these rumors in the society, but they are actively promoting it. News channels are promoting this, that how to get rid of all the dosh, how to get rid of black magic. Okay. They are doing it on their channel. Recently, we have seen a tragic crime in Bihar, where 5 people were killed just because they were declared as witch. Okay. That they were involved in witchcraft. And due to which 5 people were burned alive in Bihar. And this is not one story. This is throughout the country. So what we see that these things are also impacting our education system. Okay. So grade 6 students are not able to identify the season change, food change, phases of moon, movement of stars. Okay. They are not able to identify the movement of stars and others. That is also one of the challenge. Then what we see that in grade 9, 45% of students could explain how the constitution came to be and understood. But then if you see the other side, means 55% of the students, 55% of the students in class 9th, they were not able to understand that how the constitution came into picture. In class 9th, you have to read democratic politics. That is there in your class book. In NCERT, it is given that how the governments all across the world have been formed. 55% of the students are unaware about this, that how the constitution and everything works. Okay. So this is also one part. They don't understand the ideas and ideals of the Indian national movement. 54% of students can identify the main points in a text. Okay. So that is one thing. If they are reading something, they can identify it, they can understand it, they can analyze it. So that is one good part, that at least more than half of them are able to understand. See here, 55% of them are not able to understand about the constitution. So that is one of the challenge. Okay. And only 31% could explore and understand set of numbers such as whole number, fraction, integers, rational number, real number, their properties. So this is one basic part of class 9th and 10th mathematics, and what we see that only 31% of them can understand that what is real number, what is like whole number, what is natural number, what is integer, what is fraction. It means 70%, near about 70% of the students are not aware about these things. That is a reality of our education system. Okay. So this is one thing. This is an assessment of our education system. So in a time when geopolitics is not in favor of India, in a time when there is so many challenges in South Asia, in a time of global warming, in a time of all these problems, we have one of these problems. Okay. We have one of these problems that students in our country are not aware about it. Yes, that's true, that many of the people, it's not just about now. In class 9th, many of the students are unaware about constitution. This is not a new thing. This has been there for quite a long period of time. Even though you can see this one thing, in your time also, before you also, constitution has been part of the syllabus. Constitution has been part of syllabus. Preamble is written in the first or second page of NCERT in most of the books. You know about fundamental rights from class 7th or 8th. From class 8 itself, you may have seen that there is something called as fundamental rights. So it is a challenge. It is not the problem of the students. They are new minds. It is not their problem. The problem is that we have not been able to give them the education. It's not their failure. It's not their failure that they are not able to do it. It is the failure of the education system. It is not a question on their efficiency. If you ask them, they know all the filters of Instagram and Snapchat also. Okay. So if they have got that information, they are able to collect it. If you ask them about all the filters of Instagram, Facebook and Snapchat, they will answer it. Why? Because these technological platforms have been able to tell them in an interesting manner. So that is a failure of our education system, that we have not been able to give. We have not been able to give them the same consciousness, the same interest in that study. Okay. So this is one part that we need to reform, a big reform in our education system. Okay. So this is another part, this is one of the last topic which we have to discuss. Okay. That what is the challenge with the Indian education system. So I hope you can connect it with somehow. You can see the present generation also, you can see the past generation also. and all the best for the future generation. Okay. So that will be all for today. Tomorrow we will discuss more such topics from current affairs. Okay. Not only in one school, in most of the schools, fundamental rights, preamble, the fundamental duties are written there on the walls of the school. But then you have to raise the awareness about it. You have to raise the awareness about it. In police station, there are many such good slogans which are written there. If you ever visit a police station, let's hope you don't have to go there, but suppose if you visit any police station, and you will find that on the walls of police station or any other government offices, there are so many good things which are written there. Okay. So just writing them is not sufficient. You have to also spread the awareness. See, Bharat, that is not under my information zone. It is not in my information zone. Okay. So I know that is not there, but it is not in my information zone. Okay. So let's meet in the next class tomorrow, and then we will discuss about the remaining topics. Thank you.